What's going on, guys? It is Laser here with another weekend video analysis. It is Saturday morning, and I've got my second morning cup of coffee to kind of keep me going throughout this video. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful, wonderful weekend. We just wrapped up a very short week. And in today's video, if you're just tuning in today's video, we're going to predict where we see NIO going and why the battle at $6 is super duper important. And we're also going to do a little bit of a broad scope and dive into the broader market. So we'll be looking at BABA. We'll be looking at Baidu. We're going to be looking at the Seng index. We'll look at the Dixie as well. We're also... I wanted to take this quick moment to talk about my indicator here. Throughout this video, we're going to be using this to drop my technical analysis. This is not a fundamental analysis video. We don't talk fundamentals here. We don't talk news. We strictly talk technicals. And when we only talk technicals, it allows us to remain as neutral as possible and read what the chart is telling you. So that's what you can expect in this video, and we're going to be using my my handy dandy indicator, which, by the way, I know that there has been some people in the past, in my past videos, have asked about this indicator and wanting it, and I put a lot of thought process into it, and I believe I'm prepared to make it ready for some people to get access to it. But I need to I forget, it was a while ago, so there were some people in some of my older videos who were asking about it. So if there's any old people who actually asked about it, or any new people who are interested in getting access to my indicator, just shoot me a message either in the comment section below, or you can go straight to my Twitter. My DMs are fully open. You can shoot me a DM, and I'll get you some more information on that as I try and figure out who exactly wants to get access to that. Having said that, I wanted to start off this video just by asking who here has seen that new Apple advertisement for the Apple EarPods or the hearing, where the dad is sitting in front of the Christmas tree and he's got his little kid there, and the kid is like flashing forward and growing older, and it's like it hits you in the feels. Being 38 years old and having a 5-year-old kid, it kind of makes you realize time goes by super duper fast. And watching that ad, which I thought was absolutely brilliant, it really made me emotional, you know, as a father and as a parent. Who here has seen that ad? I'm just curious to know. And I'm not promoting Apple in any way. I just really it really hit me in the feels just being a dad. And I absolutely love that. So let me know in the comment section below if you've also seen that ad and what your thoughts were. Maybe I'm just getting too old and too sappy for that, but that's just me. If you hear me take an extended pause break, I'm sipping on my coffee. So let's dive in. We're going to start with NIO. We're going to do a 2-week analysis starting from 2 weeks. We're going to go all the way down to 1 week. Then we're going to look at the 24. Then we're going to work our way all the way down to the 1 hour. A lot of nice things that I'm seeing here, which is going to lead up to why we see a battle that's going to be up and coming at the $6 mark. But I wanted to just take a quick peek, look at the 2-week mark, because there has been some comments that I've actually received on Twitter saying, I'm not so confident in what I see on the 2 weeks. Let me tell you, in the first time in the history of NIO since 2018, when it's trading, this is one of the very first times our trading indicator is giving not only a higher low, but also followed by a higher high. And it's now pulling back on that 2-week to give us a higher low. This is unprecedented. This is what makes NIO super exciting. The next up move could be the move. It could be. And for those that have been watching me long enough, you know that I will flip so fast to a bear if I don't like the chart. And there's nothing in this chart that I don't like. I love this chart so much. It looks ready to launch. Higher lows, higher highs on that 2-week time frame. And the implications of it actually making a higher low is that it's going to make a long-term uptrend. It'll be the it'll be the time for NIO investors to get back into the all-time highs and see that next leg higher. And surprisingly, it hasn't gotten back down to the lows, and it's decided to put the line in the sand, kind of right on that level here, which is it's good to see. Now, there's not too much to really talk about other than that this what I see in the 2 week is unprecedented in the entire stock. Now, if you do the 1 week, we're getting a little bit more data, double the candles. Now we actually have our 200-day moving average. There's enough data to actually develop a 200-day moving average here. As you can see here, higher high, and it's potentially foaming that higher low. It was a higher low. It's the same kind of chart. And we like to draw trend lines to measure if the trend is still intact. And we're going to make that a bit thicker for you guys who are watching at home. This trend line where I connected the two, that would be represented by something like this. And notice the velocity supports the price being above this trend line. And it's not just the velocity supporting the price being above this trend line. But take a look at this. When we're going to dive now into the 24-hour time frame. And I want to show you like the power of this indicator, by the way, here. For those of you who are like, what's so great about this indicator? So we're going to go back real quick. We're at the 24-hour time frame. We're just going to quickly take a peek at June 2022. Look how beautiful it just came back and retested that. So you see these 2 points up here? It's represented by these two velocity points right here. Notice how it tried breaking out, broke back under, tried breaking out, broke back under, tried breaking out, and it actually held here. Take a look at that opportunity that it could have presented you here. That was 100% rally right there. Back up into that trend line. It took some time, but it was able to do that. Now, where have we also seen that? You want to see that happen again here? I'll show you that to you again. This is why I love this indicator. And this is why we were one of the first technical analysts that were kind of covering NIO before it made this move. I was covering it when it was down here. Why? Because our indicator suggested that there was that big breakout that was coming here. Like this move was so significant. Even though it stayed beneath the trend line, we actually broke out above that trend line, which made me so confident on this way down. So if you look back and watch any of my videos, I was calling for an absolute like melt up banger, and it was just a matter of when. And I was calling 850 back when it was way down here. I was very, very bullish. And then likewise, I was actually bearish here, and I was bearish here. So I do flip from bearish to bullish actually. And there was a point in time where I started getting bearish here, where I misread that. And I thought like, it needs to pick a pullback. It made another leg up higher. But anyways, here we are, guys, on the 24-hour time frame. And you want to know what I see? Since this entire massive rally, it's now forming its very first potential bullish divergence. A bullish divergence is when you actually get a higher low, which is always good. It's always bullish seeing a higher low as the price makes a lower low. This is an illustration of sellers being exhausted. The sellers were able to successfully make it lower, but they did so on lower velocity. The momentum is weakening. The selling pressure is weakening. And that is a pretense before a huge rally. And it's why, if you were following me on Twitter, I've been posting rock memes, Shrek memes. I've been posting about it and being extra confident because I believe this bottom here, this local bottom is in, and it might potentially be like we won't see these lows ever again. Now, there are some risks when it comes to NIO. And if you see my other videos, I have talked about it, and I'm leaning a little bit less and less and less towards those. There's always the risk of it coming down and tapping this trend line here. You see this trend line I'm drawing down here? We're not quite at the bottom here, and there's always that risk, guys. So understand the risk. There's no one can guarantee anything. I'm just giving you my opinion, and just a friendly reminder, everything that I say here is just my opinion. Please do your own research, do your own due diligence. I could be wrong. I have been wrong in the past before here, but this is just me trying to share what I see in the stock to bring you guys on the same page. But I love what I see here on the 24-hour, and it's not just the 24 hours that's telling me to love the stock. Let's go into the 12 hours. 12 hours, it still hasn't broken out of the 200-day moving average trend line here. And traditionally, when you look back to the left, when that's happened, it's signaled something quite big, actually. And so it's getting close there, and it's still forming also on the 12-hour a bullish divergence. We love our bullish divergences where it makes lower lows. Actually, the last time I made a bullish divergence was right over here. And it made a lower low on the price. And what did it do? It launched up a good amount. How much was that? 20%? Now, mind you, that wasn't the bottom. That was kind of like more of like a dead cat bounce, but it's forming another bullish divergence, which you can't not love that. And traditionally, like when and if this breaks, because it's going to, because it always does, stocks always go under and above the 200-day moving average. When this eventually breaks above it, you're going to start seeing like a pretty nice rally that's going to be coming. And I'll explain to you in a bit as to why I believe that's going to be right around that 630, 650, right around that 6-ish mark, why that's going to be super duper significant, and why that could actually potentially be a short squeeze for NIO. On the 4 hours, we're going to quickly dive into the 4-hour time frame. Again, a bullish divergence also is forming on that 4 hours. We now finally are curving higher. We are kind of like in a similar time, like we're kind of like basing here. We're almost like at this point in stage where it's like it gave you like that dip below. We've got a dip below the 200-day moving average, but it's just overall it's starting to curve higher. And you can just kind of see it, like the divergence that's happening here. You can see it's basically flatline, technically making higher lows while the price is going lower lows. Sellers are basically, they're tapping out here. And in fact, I actually posted a tweet about this, how the whales have already shown their cards. I mean, at least to me, because I'm tracking their moves with this indicator. And you can see they showed their cards right around here where it's broken out of this momentum. And this trend line is very significant on that 4-hour time frame because that represents that 6-hour battle that I was talking about. So I can draw a trend line from here, these 2 points here. And the funny thing is, these 2 points, and I was just looking at the chart. I gotta clear the chart here. This is the crazy part. I believe if you go right over here. Now I'm cheating a little bit here because I'm trying to make it work. But when you go all the way down there, isn't that cool? Boom, boom, rejected. Let's take a look here. The last time it rejected. Boom, boom, rejected. Okay. And we're going all the way back. Boom, boom, rejected. So I just noticed this actually specifically on this trend line. And let me tell you how crazy that is, because the implications of this trend line kind of being a thing on a breakout is you could see a runaway into 19 and 2387. Now, we don't like to count our eggs before they hatch. Those are really good price targets. I mean, I'm sure most bulls will be quite happy as the price does potentially ride into those price targets. But I have different price targets in mind. The one main trend line is actually it's on a smaller time frame. And when I say smaller, I mean like this was a 1-year downtrend. I have these price targets in mind. And I'm only looking at this, which is 850 and like 10. And the implications here, if it does get into 850, which I'm feeling real good about, It opens the doors up. Do you see how it like causes this like cascade of, if it hits 850, say we get an 850 run and it comes now we're at 850. Now we're trading above this trend line, and that opens the gates from a technical perspective to, now we've opened the gates to 19 and 24. When you open the gates now to 19 and 24, guess what? We've got another trend line here. You know what that does? That opens the gates to 27 and 35. You want to know the crazy thing? You open the gates to 27 and 35. You can see how this can get a little bit out of hand actually here, because now you have what is potentially a cup and handle, the most biggest and giant cup and handle forming. And you can see how this thing can be an absolute potential banger. Now, we don't actually count on that. We're just looking at the small thing, but these are things to kind of look at. People are curious. Some people are long-term investors, and the ones that are holding for the long run, they're expecting something like this. And let me tell you, it's absolutely very possible. It's not a guarantee, but it's absolutely very possible. And if there's any company that can do it, it's freaking NIO with their battery swap technology. And I said in the beginning, we don't talk about fundamentals here because it could really make you bias in one way or the other, but it's hard not to. It's hard not to love what you see about NIO. So going back to the 4-hour time frame, the reason why there's going to be that battle at $6, and the reason why there's going to be a short squeeze, which is important for you guys to understand this. If you don't understand a thesis as to why something should go somewhere, you're not going to be confident in it, and you're going to doubt it. So I'm here to actually explain the why. In fact, I'm going to do this the right way. I'm going to use the magnet tool here. Can I get it? Oh, I did it. We're going to extend that out to the right, and I don't like it being so thick. We're going to make it a bit thinner so you guys can see that. See that touch there? We're going to even label that. I can't even label it nicely, but that's fine. We're going to call this is the long trend line. We're going to highlight it, okay? So above that is the short squeeze. The thesis is there's shorts on this way up. There's shorts who shorted this, and they haven't covered. And there's likely shorts possibly starting to cover here, and they might re-add back up here. And it could reject. That's part of my thesis. It could reject, and they could re-add here, but that's why there's a battle that's going to take place here. It's going to be shorts and longs battling. And if the shorts lose control over this, if the price does ride above, get out the way for the short sellers. Like if you're a short seller and you shorted it here, you have to step out the way. If you took a stab shorting it here, your thesis is done. You can't from a technical perspective. Institutions and smart money are going to try and stab and go long on that. Retail is going to try and go on that. All of Twitter is going to say, look at NIO. It's going to go freaking crazy, and they're going to be calling for some giant price targets. People don't really like taking a stab at the long, but if you're looking for a safe entry to go long, wait for this to break. But if there was another entry to go long where the risk to reward made sense, it's right here, right down at this level, which is, why I've been actually so bullish about that is I love what I see technically. I see a reversal kind of coming. The risk to reward is there. Yes, mind you, there is that risk of it kind of coming down lower and coming down to retest this trend, but I like what I see so far, and the odds of it going higher and the upside is way higher here at this point. And I believe the move here is, in my opinion, to go long. This is probably you might potentially see the lowest that you'll ever see NIO in a long, long, long time, probably for months and months and perhaps forever if it can break above this, because above that, shorts are covering, new longs are coming, and you're going to get that squeeze. That's why there's a battle at 6. Do you guys see where that price target sits at? That sits right around 642 if it did that like the week of December 11th. But let's just say it took some time and it went till December 31st. We're sitting at 608, and that's going to actually basically give you that kind of like that double top right there. So if this took time to build up, you might get something like this where it battles, breaks above, and then squeezes. This is in my opinion what you'd want to do if you want to shake some retail out and think the shorts are kind of winning here, because I don't expect shorts to kind of go out of this without a fight. So I do expect that to initially get rejected. It might take a couple shots, but when it does break above, look out. I think there's a short squeeze on the menu here. And you look again on the 2 hours, it's again, it's breaking the 200-day moving average, which is fantastic actually. And on the 1 hour, it's doing that. And it's actually forming now its very first higher low on the 200-day moving average. You can see here lower low, higher low forming here actually. You can almost call that like an inverted head and shoulders if you wanted to, from like a, I mean, you can't really, but you kind of, and you can see the last time it made like that higher low was right around here. So something big's coming. I could see it coming. And that pretty much that wraps up kind of where I see NIO going actually into next week. I see a battle coming at $6. And it's funny because for those of you that were following me closely on Twitter, there were people calling when this thing hit like 430. I had one guy said, it's going to finish the day another 5% lower. And I said, short it. If you think it's going to do that, short it. I knew that wasn't going to happen actually, because the velocity told me that ain't going to happen. And for those of you that actually feel defeated that when the price is coming back down, realize for price action, before it rises up, it's normal for it to come back and back test the support and come back down. This is normal behavior where it comes back down and like this move here before a rally is super, super common. You're going to see that. You saw it right here too. It comes right back down to retest that support just to see if sellers take one last stab before it explodes. And I think it's going to explode next week. That's just where I stand actually on NIO. So that wraps it up here for my technical analysis on NIO. And once again, as a friendly reminder here, if you guys are enjoying this content, don't forget to actually give me the thumbs up on hit the like button. It helps encourage me to kind of keep making these free videos once per week that I put out for this awesome NIO community. I think the NIO community is one of the best communities on FinTwit. And I'll stand by that. I think they're one of the coolest investor base ever. So I'm hoping that the NIO fam can actually get a big win coming into next week and for the following months actually. Now you can't just look at NIO if you're looking to get like a bigger picture. You got to look at some of the other stocks to fit some of the missing puzzle pieces. That's called finding confluence. Just looking at NIO may not be enough. I always like to look at I call it its brother or its sisters, BABA, because they move together. And it's funny for those that watch my last week's video, it broke below. We talked about this in my last week's video. I said, it looks kind of shisty. It broke below. And I said in my last video that if it broke right back above, there's going to be a squeeze on the menu. So you can see it broke below and now it closed just above. Do you understand the implications of that? That's extremely bullish for BABA. Extremely bullish. It's maintaining this uptrend. It's broken back above. And oftentimes when you see that, that's when a squeeze happens. That's when a squeeze happens, actually. And I love that. And so I think there's going to be a really significant up move happening for BABA as well. And look at that. It's been beat down. How could you see this go any further down? Like, how much more lower do you want it to go? 31%. And you got some bears out there. Yeah, it's going to go down. Come on. Baidu's the same thing. It's a little bit of a different chart here, but Baidu looks good. I like what I see on Baidu. You can see right here. Someone asked me to chart Baidu. Baidu is also another Chinese name, actually. And so take a look. Broke below, back above. I mean, you might even get a little bit of that pullback, but that's what I see here. To me, it looks great. Different price targets for Baidu. And at the very least, if someone is super bearish on Baidu, I believe that you're going to get at least like that test into like the golden pocket, 105 or even 99 before this thing breaks any lower, which is a nice rally. Like that would be like a 20 to 30% rally coming up on Baidu. I think Chinese names are going to be super hot going into next week. Now, if you look at the Hang Seng, we talked about this. We talked about that golden pocket. I said, like, how funny is it that it came right down to that golden pocket? Take a look. That golden pocket right there. And it caught bids. You can see right there, it's catching bids. This is beautiful. It almost looks like it's forming like an inverted head and shoulders. You got to love that. And it actually, from a velocity point of view, it's actually formed its first higher high. If it forms another higher low, that's the first bullish divergence actually that could form here. So you could see like one last shakeout where it comes back down and does that again just to try and screw with some people. But I'm seeing some massive upside potential here coming on Hang Seng actually here. And for the squeeze to happen on Hang Seng, it needs to get above this trend line. It's getting messy, this chart. Yikes. Let's erase. I hate a messy chart. I hate a messy chart. We'll do that again for you guys here that are watching and charting the Hang Seng actually here. So if this thing for the squeeze to happen on the Hang Seng, you need to get above that. Just like I explained on Baba. Baba's already done it. It's already made that. And so a lot of confluence suggesting it's going up. And look at the Dixie. It's breaking down. You'd love to see that. It actually made that bearish. I talked about that bearish divergence that was forming right here. Higher high on lower velocity. This is the US dollar. You want to see this come lower. Was this like a massive fake out to get retail to sell? Now, from a bull perspective, it's still holding this trend line. You are going to want to see that break lower. So we still are going to monitor that. There's still a risk of it seeing like possibly another second lift before it breaks down, but we got to just monitor it and play it by ear. Now, what I do see is the velocity has broken right here, and it supports the price kind of coming lower, which is a good thing. If you're a bull for equities, if you're a bull for NIO, and if you're a bull for the stock market, you want to see the US dollar come down because that means money's going to flow into the stock market. Now, I didn't mention it, but we're heading into December, and it's very common to see that Christmas rally where flows and funds are going to come in there. Don't ignore, in my opinion, I think it's important to ignore the doomers. Every time the doomers come out and say there's going to be a stock market crash that's going to be on the line, when it doesn't crash, it does the exact opposite. It squeezes up. And in fact, I remember people were saying, oh my God, it's going to crash back here. And what did it do? It squeezed up. Every dip, you got doomers saying it's going to crash. So you got to be careful following doomers here. The trend is still extremely, extremely bullish for the entire stock market. That sums up my analysis for NIO. The battle at 6 is coming. I've got this indicator here. I believe I've got some of the logistics figured out, some of it, not all of it, but please send me a message if you are interested. Either send a message in YouTube, but I would prefer it if you have a Twitter account, just shoot me a DM on Twitter. That might be a little bit easier. I don't know if you could send me a DM on YouTube, but if you can, great. Once again, as always, thank you guys for watching my videos. I absolutely appreciate you guys. I want you guys all to go outside and have a wonderful weekend. Don't stare at the charts. That's my job, to give you the technical analysis. But no, seriously, you do want to do your own research and your own due diligence. It's just my opinion. And yeah, I suck at these like end of videos, so I'll just leave it at that, guys. Have a wonderful day and cheers.